Welcome to another fun-filled Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeem McGee, which is she. I am Sydney Brownhead. That's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, too, you can catch up on our other live shows that we have airing throughout the week. So if you happen to miss them, make sure you go back and watch them and listen to them at your own leisure. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. Speaking of Sports Zone Chicago, you can find us on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, please find Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And speaking of War Media, please give those guys a follow on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up in the comment section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something stupid, I've given Lakina full power to give you fools to build and be about.
Bye-bye.
I love when she says that. But before we begin, we must remind you that you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on that sports folder and download the Sports Zone Chicago app to that avenue. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Android phone like I'm using right now, your personal PC like Lakina's using right now, or your Chromebook like I'm using right now, just go to the Google Play Store, download that Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere you would like.
And you know we will provide.
Hilarious. Hilarity ensues here. We got a lot to do here on the show. So on Second City Sports, of course, we're going to talk about the rest of the week in MLB. Yeah, a mixed bag for the Cubs and Sox. Also, a Chicago legend says goodbye, and also the NHL playoffs are now set. And don't forget, no, we have not forgotten about the Bulls. Big play-in game tonight against Miami. But of course, we're going to talk about that and the rest of the NBA playoffs, I should say, with our illustrious panel. You got to find out who it is. Later on in the second hour.
Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. All right, let's kick off this Friday edition, Lakina, by discussing the long ball. Of course, we're talking about both our baseball teams. First, the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox. Of course, the White Sox are 5-8 on the year. They're going to take on the Baltimore Orioles tonight on the South Side, starting at 6 o'clock Chicago time. The White Sox losing 2 out of 3 to the Minnesota Twins earlier this week. They had the Dylan Cease game. They almost blew that game, but Hanser Alberto hit the 3-run home run to make the difference in that game. The second game of that series, Hanser Alberto threw the ball away on a squeeze bunt, which let the Twins score a winning run in the bottom of the 10th inning. And of course, Wednesday's game was ugly. Lucas Giolito pitched his heart out, but the offense did not come through. Outside of Lennon Sosa's solo shot in the 9th inning, the White Sox failed to come through again, losing 2 out of 3 to their division rivals, thus dropping them 3 games below the 500 mark. Lakina, I know that Tim Anderson's on the injured list. Yohan Makata, hopefully he'll return for this weekend series at home against the Baltimore Orioles. The pitching has been good, but the hitting has disappeared. Last week it was the opposite. The hitting looks like it was starting to come around, but the starting pitching stunk. Lakina, do you think that the White Sox will find some consistency? So far, we're 2 weeks into the season. Do you think they'll find some consistency soon? Because I read a quote from White Sox manager Pedro Grifol yesterday, and he said that remember that around this time last year, the White Sox said, "Oh, it's early, it's early. We'll get it together." Of course, we all know what happened then. He says this year, I don't want to hear the excuse, or it's early, it's early. We got to get it going and get it going now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can only do the it's early thing for so many times. I mean, the Sox is of course it's been the Sox's story since you could probably say for like the last 2 or 3 years. Errors, not taking advantage of runs in scoring position. That home run, that was hit on Wednesday was on Tuesday, I should say, was meaningless. It really didn't matter. So I'm like, okay, you're kind of going back to the bad habits here. I know you could say, Anderson's on the IL, Makata's on the IL. You can only use that excuse for so long. So it's sort of like the same cycle with this team. So it's just it's gotten to a point where you're like, look, Giolito actually didn't have a bad start, but again, it was the offense, didn't pick up the slack for him. I just don't know what to say at this point. I mean, this team is really. I don't want to say it's over for them because we're only like about 2 weeks in. But at the same time, though, it's sort of one of those things. You're just like, what can you do at this point? I've heard like some of the various sports radio and such. You've seen a lot of White Sox fans are already kind of freaking out and such. I mean, I don't want to say that they shouldn't, but at this point, I mean, it's sort of the same old story and the same old song for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so injuries has played a major part so far this year. I mentioned Tim Anderson's on the IL for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully, Eloy Jimenez can come back within the next week or two. Of course, as I mentioned, Johan Makata missed the whole Twins series with a back injury. Hopefully, he returns this weekend against the Baltimore Orioles. We'll tell you what they did coming up. But this Sox team, the depth on this team will be tested. Is being tested now as we speak. But they got to get some offense going because great starting pitching can only hold up for so long, and if you don't have any offense to back it up, it's going to go down south for you. So hopefully the White Sox can turn around this weekend. It's going to be great weather, at least for today and tomorrow. I don't know about Sunday's game. We'll see what the weather looks like, as it looks bad right now. But at least you can get if you can get these 2 games against Baltimore, I think you'll be okay. But the White Sox, as long as they can stay around 500, I think they'll be okay, but they got to turn around quickly, because remember, we talked about this last year, Lakina. We talked about, it's early. They have time to turn around. When they're going to do it? They really never took off with a good, long, hot winning streak, and that's what cost them the division last year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been repeating myself for like 2 years, and I think that's kind of like been the problem. And this whole thing with the Sox, yes, the injuries have played a big part, but it shows the lack of depth in the squad. And I think a lot of that is, Rick Hahn and, dare I say, Jerry Reinsdorf. I don't want to, go deep into the weeds here, but it kind of feels like, we're sort of doing this, the same pattern for like the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, okay, yeah, yes, you get the nice, showing here, but I mean, the weather's going to be okay. It'll be, like I said, Sunday's going to be a little bit iffy because it's going to get cooler and it's going to rain. But I'm kind of at the point where I'm just like, I'm in show me mode with the White Sox. Like, show me that you can contend for the AL Central, because right now you're not showing me that. And like I said, to close this out, I mean, because like I said, we got a lot to do there, because I don't want to, go into this whole thing with the Sox. But they need to get it together. They need to get it together quick, because you can't, if you want to try to compete in your division, you already lose your series. You lost your series against your division opponents, so that's going to be kind of like the big thing here. So we'll see what happens. Now, as far as the Cubs are concerned, as it goes to the north side, they win 2 out of 3 against the Mariners. They lose they miss out on the sweep. They lost 5-2 on Wednesday, but in the first couple of games, they came back from, I think they were like 8 runs down or something like that.
Yeah.
Then they scored
that
like
first
14.
game.
Yeah, then on the second game, scored like 14
Oh,
runs.
the second game. Sorry, the second game. The second game.
Well,
I
yeah,
apologize.
the second game they scored like what, 14 runs. No, you were right the first time. It was the first game. And the second game they scored like 14 runs or something like that. So it was like one of those series where you're like you kind of get a little bit of a mixture. Marcus Stroman had another solid outing and such, and it was sort of like they won 3-2 in extra innings. You're kind of seeing that that's a little bit of a pattern here with this Cubs team, and actually in a good way. I mean, the relief pitch has been really good, and the Hayes has been very solid. I know Dansby Swanson, I think, was a little bit iffy. He couldn't play that rubber match on Wednesday because his wife, Mallory Pugh, who plays for the Stars, Red Stars, I should say, she had a pretty devastating injury on the U.S. national side, so she was worried about her, but. And all, but if you're the Cubs, you're 6-4 right now. I mean 6-5, I should say. You gotta be feeling pretty good where you're at.
Yes, and with that game on Tuesday where they came back from 8-0 deficit to beat the Mariners, that's an encouraging sign for this young team as they still try to find their identity. I know that Hayden Wesneski didn't have his best stuff on Tuesday. He gave up all 8 of those runs to Seattle early in the first couple of innings. But we said before the start of the season that this Cubs offense will take them as this team. Where this team goes will be led by the offense. I know they're built very good right now with their starting pitching, in particular Marcus Stroman, but Hayden Wesneski and Max Steele and the other guys in the rotation must step up to the plate. I know Kyle Hendricks is supposed to be back soon. We'll see what happens with that. Seiya Suzuki is supposed to be back soon. We'll see how much he can help this Cubs offense. But as you mentioned, Dansby Swanson was swinging a hot bat. Trey Mancini as well, and Eric Hosmer chipped in with a couple of hits early in that series for Seattle. So you saw the best from that Cubs offense, especially during their 2 wins in this series. Now, will they score double-digit runs the rest of the way? No, I don't expect that, but expect this Cubs team to play fundamentally sound baseball and expect it to be more aggressive offensively. But also, too, I don't know if you saw this in the series, Lakina. Pay attention to the base pass, how the Cubs run bases in the base pass. We said this, that stolen base is going to pick up in baseball because of the bigger bases and the rule changes and whatnot. But the Cubs are one of the few teams in MLB, and you can say this about the Sox too. They run the bases intelligently most of the time in terms of the Sox, but for the rest of the league, the Cubs, they're very aggressive around the base pass. You know, Willie Harris, a former Sox player, now the third base coach of the Cubs, he's the engine of that. So the Cubs run the bases smartly among one of the best teams in the league. So if they're going to generate any offense that way, they had to be very aggressive on the base pad.
Well, he's stolen more than a few bases back in his day. So I think he kind of bring that mindset to the Cubs. I think that's been a good thing too. There've been a couple of times where they've gotten caught, but they've actually been very smart, especially in that Tuesday comeback. So that was really kind of one of the reasons why they were able to make that big comeback like they did. So, like I said, I'm not expecting them to compete for the NL Central. I don't think that's going to happen. The Brewers looked pretty good, really good so far. I know St. Louis had a pretty tough start, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think if you're kind of like right there near the 500 mark and kind of like be at the least right there competing, for one of those NL wildcard spots, you gotta be really pretty good for the Cubs right now. Jameson Talman, I think I'm still a little bit concerned with him.
Yeah,
but I'm hopefully he'll get it together. I mean, this is a guy who's been around for a minute, so I'm hoping that he can kind of get it together. I know Kyle is supposed to come back, I think sometime this month. Next month, I should say. So we'll see how he looks. So, because like I said, all in all, you got to be feeling pretty good for the Cubs right now, and I think you're in a good spot. At least, like I say, Sports on Chicago, Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, with you now. As far as the MLB as a whole, what has impressed you so far this week?
The Detroit Tigers got their 3rd win last night, beating the Toronto Blue Jays 5-1. But that wasn't the whole story. Former Cub and antagonist to the White Sox and everybody else in general, Javi Baez, the all-star second baseman. He thought he hit a home run last night, and he trolleyed around the bases slower than your grandma. And AJ Hinch, the Tigers manager, did not appreciate it. But that was not the only crime quote-unquote, baseball crime he committed. During the bat with Akil Baddoo, during his at bat in the 2nd inning, Baez forgot how many outs there was. It was 1 out when Duo was at the plate. Javi Baez trots over to third base. He thought it was the second out or the 3rd out to end the inning. No, it was only the 2nd out. He forgot to run back to second base. Got caught. He didn't even attempt to go back to second base. He just said, "What the f? Forget it." AJ Hinch pulled him to the side in the tunnel in the dugout. Said, "Son, get your ass out of here. Your night's done." And of course, Detroit went on to win the ball game. Lakina, I think we brought up this incident before. I'll bring it up again. Remember Bobby Cox in 1998 doing that famous Greg Maddux, Kerry Wood game? Yes. Andrew Jones lazily went after a ball that he should have caught, but he let it fall right in front of his face. Bobby Cox tried his old ass out there, said, "Son, you should have caught that ball. You can't take your talents for granted. You're lazy. Get the hell up out of here." Yanked him out in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I remember that. And look, I mean, these old, AJ Hinch, he's very old school. So,
Mm-hmm.
you got to think he was not amused by his antics. And I saw John Greenberg, who's a great columnist, based here in Chicago, of course, worked at ESPN, went, Chicago for years. Now he works for the Athletic. Even he said, well, maybe he should win with the Mets or even here the Cubs, because if you remember, they were kind of on the cusp of agreeing to the extension until the pandemic happened. But I think by it, I think for that, I guess it's a good thing that they won that game, because that would have been disastrous nonetheless. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. Yeah, the Twins were lucky that they won that game, because that would have been, well, yeah, because that would have been a disaster for that in many aspects. So it's a little bit nutty now. For me, I think this has been what's been impressive for me, especially for baseball, is the Rays. The Rays, they've broken the record. They won again last night. They're the first team. Um, to start 13-0 since the 84, yeah, the 87 Brewers and the 82 Braves. I think the 1884 Maroons, they started 20-0. So I don't know if they're going to be able to keep it up. The weird thing is that they have more home runs than they do runs. So they're actually doing like a little bit with the long ball. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that I don't know how long they can keep it up, but they've looked really impressive so far. And there's really someone else who impressed me, before we go to break. I gotta say, Steven Strider for the Braves. He struck out nine batters against the Reds early
Mm-hmm.
this week. That's the seventh straight start with 9 or more Ks. Only John Smoltz has a longer stretch, in history, going in 8 starts with about 9 plus strikeouts from 97 during that summer. I remember that well. So he's
Mm-hmm.
looked really good too. So yeah, there's been a lot of like great. I know Sandy Alcantara had like got dinged early this week. So
Mm-hmm.
you gotta think he's showed a little bit of a human side. But yeah, I gotta think if you're baseball, it's looking really good. The games, even the games that have been very long, even look that 14-9 Cubs Seahawks. I mean, Mariners game. That was a Bears Seahawks score. That probably would have
Yes.
been if they had played. But yeah, I mean that actually didn't take long. That only took about like a little over 3 hours. It wasn't even that long of a game. So it was just like, I think overall, I think if you're baseball, you gotta be feeling pretty good about your start.
Yes, and also too, let's give love to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They
Hmm.
they take 2 out of 3 from the San Francisco Giants, their
Yes.
division rivals out there in the Bay this week. They almost scored double-digit runs twice. They beat
Hmm.
the Giants 9-1 on Monday, and they beat them 10-2 on Wednesday. So for you Dodgers fans that wanted Dave Roberts out of there, 10-5 on Wednesday, I should say.
Hmm.
Like Lakina said last week when they lost the series to Arizona on the road. For all you Dodger fans that wanted Dave Roberts out of there, you're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. Like you say, they have some new players on there now to replace some of
Yep.
the old veterans they got rid of via trade or free agency in the offseason. You have to give them time to come together. And right now, looks like they're doing that, even though it's just a small sample size. So, but they get back on track, taking 2 out of 3 from the Giants on the road.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's gonna take them some time to gel. Like I said, a lot of these guys are new, so you gotta think it's gonna take them a while to, kind of, get going and get meshy. They are starting to get it together a little bit. They win 2 out of 3, against the Giants. I think if you'll take that if you're the Dodgers, because the whole thing is just it's sort of crazy. I
Mhm.
know the Diamondbacks are still, they had a pretty nice week this week. I don't expect them to hang on very much. I just don't see that happening. I think Jordan Walker from the Cardinals have been pretty good. He has a 12-game hit streak right now, and he's only 20 years old. I mean, as the longest by a player under 21 to begin their career. You got to go all back to Eddie Murphy. No, not that Eddie Murphy, but
Party
long ago.
all the time.
Oh gosh,
Woo,
well, like
woo,
all the way back in the day, he did this like 12 straight all the way back in 1912, so
woo.
almost like over 100 years ago. But I know that the Cardinals are struggling right now, but you gotta think, he's one of the reasons why they're still kind of like right there afloat. So gotta give him some props there. Now, anything else you want to talk about with baseball before we go to scheduling?
Yeah, the Baltimore Orioles, who the White Sox played tonight at home for the weekend, they swept the Oakland A's earlier this week in a 3-game series. Your guy, Adley Rutschman, the catcher for the Baltimore Orioles,
Yeah.
had a walk-off home run yesterday to complete the sweep.
Yeah, he did. That was a really nice moment for him, and I think that was his first walk off. So yeah, that's like a nice feeling to get your
Mhm.
first walk off home run. Also, I want to give a shout out to Elise Arias of the Marlins, because the first Marlin to hit for the cycle on Tuesday. He had a double, a triple, a home run, and a single, and and he had all that is like in that order, which is weird because the Marlins are the only team that had not had someone hit for the cycle. That's kind of weird to me, but with all the
Yeah,
rich history, they have 2 World Series, yet no one has ever hit for the cycle. A little
yeah,
bit crazy. That
yeah. Congratulations to him, Mr. Luis Arias. I'm glad he's out the AL Central. Of
yeah.
course, you White Sox, remember he broke up Dylan Cease's almost
Mhm.
no hitter
Yes,
last
yes.
year. But the Marlins are celebrating their 30th year in existence in Major League Baseball. It's the first time a player has done that in their young history of the franchise. So let's see if the Marlins can turn it around. I don't know, I don't know if they can, but they got some young pitching talent down there. But outside of Chaz Chisholm Jr., the new cover boy for MLB 2023, the video game,
Mhm.
they need to score some runs.
Absolutely. I think that's been their problem this year. And I think Alcantara just like I said earlier this week, he got dinged for like 9 runs. So,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. Now going to the schedule for this weekend. Speaking of the Marlins, they host Arizona this weekend. The first game starts at 5:40. Philadelphia and Cincy, Philly's starting to kind of get together a little bit slowly but surely. They also the first pitch there's at 5:40. San Francisco and Detroit. That's the first game, the Apple TV Plus doubleheader at 5:40. So those of you in the Bay Area and in the Motor City, you're gonna have to find ways to stream if you don't have Apple TV Plus. This is the only place you're gonna be able to see that first game.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardians and the Nationals. The Twins and the Yankees continue their series. That should be a fun after the fireworks yesterday.
Yes, Minnesota provided the majority of it too.
Yes, exactly. This should be a good one here. Tampa Bay and Toronto in the AL East. We'll see if the Rays can keep it up. But Toronto's they're starting to kind of get it together too.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Toronto
getting
will
it
take
together.
2 out of 3. I predict.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's probably what's going to happen. And the second game of the Apple TV Plus doubleheader, the Angels and the Red Sox continue their series at 6:10. So those of you in Boston and in Los Angeles, you're not going to be able to unless you got Apple TV Plus. You got to find some other ways to watch this particular game.
All right, continuing the weekend series schedule, we have Atlanta at Kansas City. The Texas series, the Rangers and the Astros. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. The Rangers are 75, Astros 6-7. The Astros took care of the Pittsburgh Pirates early this week, and the Pirates and the Cardinals continue their 4-game series down in the Show Me State. Pittsburgh took the opener last night 5-0. Of course, other interleague series, the Mets are at Oakland and take on the Athletics. The Brewers and the Padres continue their 4-game series over there on the West Coast. The Cubs and the Dodgers get it on from Dodger Stadium this weekend. And the Rockies and the Lakina Seattle Mariners in the other interleague series. So that's your series schedule for this weekend. Your national TV schedule looks like this. For Saturday, FS1, we have San Diego hosting Milwaukee. That's at 3:05. And for Sunday night baseball, we will have Texas and Houston. And that's at 6 o'clock.
All right, that should be a fun series. Looking forward to that one. Both teams are, Houston's starting to kind of, get it going a little bit with some injuries. They got Texas. They have a hot start, so we'll see if they can kind of keep it up. That should be a fun one coming up here. And that is your schedule of series for this weekend in MLB. We're going to take a really quick break. And as we continue, Chicago Legend says goodbye. Also to the NHL playoffs are now set. And a couple other football nuggets here. And I know Sis got some sports media nuggets as well as I am fading out here. So, but that's okay though. We'll put Soldier on, of course. Don't forget our NBA playoff preview panel kicking off at 1. So a lot of news still. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports on Chicago, NHL, and others. You'll talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too.
These new socks? They can be a real lifesaver. I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Sorry. Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Friday edition. Friday Fun Friday. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
Find me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter, and Akina's going to be on the IG.
We have less than 85 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you want to hit us up in the comment section, please do so at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. All right, Lakina, let's do that hockey. Let's do that hockey. Let's tap our sticks on the ice because for our Blackhawks, the regular season has come to an end.
Thank God.
So far, it looks like the career of Jonathan Toews in a Hawks uniform has come to an end as well. He played in his final game in a Hawks uniform last night. The Hawks go down to the Philadelphia Flyers by the score of 5-4 in overtime. Jonathan Toews was mic'd up for the whole game, courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago and NHL Productions. Lakina, watching some of that broadcast last night, no, I did not cry, but you could tell that the fans were looking for something to hold on to, as Toews did score a power play goal early in that second period. You could tell that the fans were looking for something special that happened. They did. They nearly got their money's worth a little bit over as Toews missed a chance to end it in overtime. But Captain Sirius, old Captain Mike, Captain JT19, wherever nicknames you have for him, he did a great service for the Blackhawks during his time here in Chicago with 3 Stanley Cups, 2010, 2013, and 2015. He has numerous Blackhawks records. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He showed up in the big moments. Of course, he played with great talent like Patrick Kane and Marion Hossa, Patrick Sharp, Christopher Steed, Corey Crawford, and others. He was the first phase of this Hawks renaissance from the late 2000s through the 2010s, and his accomplishments will never be forgotten. He'll have a statue along with Patrick Kane together once their playing days are done outside the United Center. And he did get a great tribute last night. Just the only problem that I had was the Blackhawks announced that he wouldn't come back the day of the last home game of the season. I found it to be kind of rude and odd. Maybe it's just me.
It's sort of, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you wonder, like, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere. But if you remember, like, there have been, rumors that his basically his career, not just his not just his Blackhawks career, but also his NHL career could probably be over, be done with. So that might have been one of the reasons why that maybe, it was kind of off-putting that they waited till like the end of the season. Kyle Davidson made the announcement early yesterday, but I guess you kind of figure that would happen. So I think no one should really be like too
Mhm.
surprised by that. But it is what it is. But I think that he'll be remembered here, very fondly. We know that injuries, and of course he battled long COVID, and all the
Mhm.
other stuff that he went through. So this could be not just the end for him with the Blackhawks, obviously, but it's also could be the end of for him. So I was a little bit kind of taken aback, by that news, like a lot of people. But look, I mean, he has 3 Stanley Cups. He won a gold medal with Canada back in 2010 in Vancouver, the Winter Olympics. He also, won the Selke Trophy for the best defenseman in the NHL in 2013, the same year that the Hawks won the second of those 3 cups. So look, his accomplishments will always be, forgotten. I guess this might have been kind of like planned by him and of course Hawks GM Kyle Davidson. So this
Mhm.
might all been already planned out because he's not really one for like long goodbyes and such. So maybe this is sort of like maybe he kind of has something to do with this too. So I know some people are kind of off put, but I'm thinking this might have been because no one likes he doesn't like being made a fuss over. So that might have been why this might have been intentional on his part too. So we
Mhm.
may not know for sure. So like I said, he might just retire anyway after this. So I know he has a home here and such, and his family is still here. So I don't know, but like I said, I'm gonna miss him, very fondly. Old captain, my captain. And look, it would have been nice if he had scored that game winner against the Flyers, but
Mhm.
we're starting to kind of we want to get that top pick. So it's fine. Like, well, that's too bad. Okay, all right, no, okay, but but it's okay. So yeah, I'm okay with them losing that game. It would have been nice. It would have been a nice little storybook ending, but look, we're trying to, the Hawks are trying to rebuild. So if you're, I'm okay with them not winning that game against the Flyers last night.
Yeah, the Blackhawks, I believe, need the Columbus Blue Jackets to at least collect a point or win the game outright in their regular season finale tonight to ensure the Hawks have a top 3 odds to get the number 1 pick. They're battling Anaheim and San Jose for that top pick. So we'll see what happens with that. So the Hawks, I don't think you're going to see too much after this draft lottery. They're not going to make any big free agent moves because they're starting over. They moved on from the last Blackhawks era, so it's a fresh new start, and they still have a lot of work to do. Their prospects are trying to move up through the system right now. It's still going to take some time, but it looks like Kyle Davidson and his crew is going to have their own blueprint on how to get the Hawks back to a winning frame of mind. I know Luke Richardson, they praised him before the game last night in terms of setting the culture and setting the tone for those young guys playing on the ice. You can tell, Lakina, that we talked about this with our girl Rachel, Ray Kachek. We'll have her on sometime during the playoffs, but you can tell that this team just doesn't have enough talent. It's not like they went out there intentionally to lose. If you're an athlete getting paid for what you love, you're not going to go out there and go through the motions. You can just tell that the Hawks, for a while, they looked good in some games. In some games, they were outmatched. But one thing you can say, they did not quit. That's just the reason why they lost the majority of those games. They just don't have the talent against those other top teams in the league.
Yeah, and actually, they did actually, win a couple of those games. I mean, they beat the Penguins a couple of days ago, and
And now they clean house to their front
yeah, well,
office.
no, wait, no, we'll get to that in a second because I want to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you kind of felt that they were starting to kind of play like their coach. Luke Richardson, of course, he played in the league for about 15 years, so he
Mhm.
knows what it takes. He's been coaching for even longer than that, so it's definitely kind of like they're trying to find a new foundation. And look, we'll see. I mean, they're trying to build from within, and that's fine. So it is what it is. I know they're going to be in rebuild mode for a while, and I know hopefully Hawks fans will be patient because you know how some teams are. But yeah, I want to talk about like the rest of the NHL for a little bit here. As we get going. The Sabres, of course, that's who the Blue Jackets play tonight. They were eliminated from playoff contention a couple of days ago. That's actually for the 12th straight year. That's tied for with the Jets for the longest among the four major sports. Of course, you're talking about NBA and NFL, MLB, and NHL. So not only good to station there, they want to be tied with now. The Bruins, on the other hand, they have 133 points. They finished their season there. They passed the 77 Canadians for the most points in a single season. They're the first team to also hold both the points and win records since the 95-96 Red Wings. So with 62 wins, who overtook those that same Canadiens team, and is at 76-77. So we'll see if they can win the cup, because I think that's going to be the key here. If you're a Bruins and a Bruins fan, like, you hope that they can at least get to the final, because if not, this whole season's been all for naught. Excuse me. And of course, Connor McDavid, of course, I think he's broken like every record. I think he just scored again a couple last night. So, 15 game point streak for the Oilers as a whole. Then he ended the season with a 16 game point streak. That's the last and only other time an Oiler did that was, of course, the aforementioned Wayne Gretzky, who did it back in the 84-85 season. So a lot of records here that are breaking here in the NHL. So we'll get to the playoffs, because they don't start till Monday. So we'll probably won't get really into them until Monday. But I think for me with the Stanley Cup playoffs already set. I mean, the Penguins. We'll get to the Penguins for a second. Like I said, they lose to the Hawks, on last weekend. Then they end up, not making the playoffs, and now they've completely clean house, like you just said. I mean, they're just like a total house cleaning. And I said it earlier on Twitter. They got rid of their GM, Ron Hextall. They got rid of their hockey operations guy, Brian Burke. Then their assistant GM, Chris Pryor. All of them are gone now, so it's a little bit nutty, to say the least.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, they need to do some retooling. They kept up this long run as long as they could. Of course, they snuck in a couple of cups in 2016 and 2017 when they beat San Jose and Nashville successfully. We know that Sidney Crosby's getting older. We know that Evgeny Malkin is getting older too for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and some of the core guys are getting old as well. So they need to refresh and retool. Can they get back to the playoffs next year? Technically, on paper, of course they can, but it's going to be very tough for them. They need to refurbish their minor league system. They need a new goalie. I know Murray did a good job for them in the last few years, but it just didn't come up this year. So Pittsburgh has some work to do. So we'll see what happens with the black and yellow crew going forward. Now, sticking with the NHL playoffs, let's go to the other side in the Western Conference. Gabriel Landeskog, one of the key players and superstars for the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. He injured himself the other day, so he's not going to be with the team as the start of the playoffs because of injury. So we'll see what happens as we continue here on Second City Sports. As my screen, I don't know, can you see me, Lakina?
Nope,
my screen's
your screen's blank here.
Oh my goodness! So if you can hear me, I'll finish my point. We talked about this all season. Lakina is about Colorado being motivated and seeing they can get healthy come playoff time. There will be out one of their main stars as the playoffs start on Monday.
Yeah, that's going to be really like the key for the Avs, and I think that's going. I don't want to say it's Stanley Cup final or a bust for them, but I think it's sort of one of those things where they really want to kind of rebound from last season. I think that's going to be sort of like the key here for them, and I think that's going to hopefully they can kind of get it together there. I mean, I see Minnesota and Winnipeg, they both snuck in, and we'll see how they respond with some of their kind of various moves that they made. Seattle, I'm looking forward to seeing that like the Kraken. There's so much fun to watch. That arena looks amazing. So I'm hoping that we can get like a nice a little bit further into that as we wait for Sid to kind of up here. And there he is. All right, there we are. Let me try to add him here. And there we are. There we go.
Yeah, so, can you see me now? Okay.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And I was just talking about the Kraken. I mean, it was great to see just their second year in existence. They were able to kind of get into the playoffs. They got a lot of great talent there, and I'm hoping and that arena looks fantastic. It looks like so much fun to watch a hockey game. So looking forward to seeing them and how they look in the playoffs.
Mhm.
I think the Western Conference. I think you just said it, Sid, that it's pretty wide open. So this
Yeah.
is going to be like who can kind of like get hot at the right time.
Yeah, like you say, we'll get more in depth with these matchups coming up on our show on Monday. But looking at some of these matchups in the first round, in the Western Conference, you got the Kings and the Oilers in the first round for the second year in a row. Remember what the Kings did to the Oilers last year? They pushed them to the brink in Game 7. The Kings look much better this year, so we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if Edmonton can finally put together a long playoff run, especially with Connor McDavid having an MVP type season. Also, too, in the East, the Bruins, their first matchup will be against the Florida Panthers. They were one of the last teams to get in. So I think that's going to be a long series. If you're a Boston fan, you want that series over in a hurry, but I don't know if you're going to get that. Also, the New York Islanders, congratulations to them. They were the last team in the East to get in. They'll face the your Carolina Hurricanes. I think that series can go long as well. So a bunch of no-name players for both teams will be getting on in the first round of playoffs. Of course, the Dallas Stars are waiting for their opponent to for this weekend, along with the Colorado Avalanche. But I think both sides, even though we will not have Sidney Crosby of Pittsburgh, we will not have Alexander Ovechkin for the Washington Capitals. Yes, I think it's going to be a down year as far as PR short-term runs for the NHL, but I think you're still going to see some great hockey come playoff time. You usually do every year, like you said, Lakina. Whichever team that comes out of where that gets hot with hot goaltending and timely scoring, that's going to take the title.
Yeah, and I think that East is going to be a little more competitive. I know some people want to give the Bruins sort of like automatic trip to the Stanley Cup final, but I think look, you still got I think Toronto could probably make something to say about that. Look, don't forget
Can they finally get out the first round? They had their chances the last few years.
Well, yeah, that's going to be like they got their own deep section. So I still talk about the Maple Leafs. Tampa Bay is still right there. I know they're smarting from last season, so I think they want to kind of get back into it as well. And the Devils, as I call them, they got in, so I'm sure they're going to want to make some noise too.
Yeah, they're going to play the New York Rangers in the first round. That's gonna be a bus trip series. No airplanes needed for that.
No, let's say I mean, they won't have to do a lot of traveling. Just got to go across the Hudson, so they'll be okay there. Now, as far as the West, I mean, like you said, I mean, there's still some stuff to be decided there, but I think, like I said, I think the West is wide open. So I think it's definitely going to be like Dallas could probably say that, look, hey, we're the team to beat. But look, Vegas could say, look, you know what? Hey, we've been close the last couple of years ourselves, last few years ourselves. So they may say, hey, you know what? It might be our time. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Of course, the Oilers. I know Connor McDavid. I know he wants to get to that Stanley Cup final. I think he really does. They've been very close. So let's hope that they can kind of get back into it, because I'm sure he would love to trade away this for a chance to win the Stanley Cup. So still a lot of storyline. Even though no Ovechkin, no Crosby, no Malkin, but at least you got some stars that that they can get behind. Both ESPN. If you're ESPN and Warner Bros. Discovery, you gotta be feeling pretty good about the state of what the playoffs are right now.
Yes, and don't forget, TNT will be your exclusive home for the Stanley Cup final this year. So you'll be able to find the games on your streaming service and on your linear television screens. You're listening to Second City Sports, the Friday edition on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid Deslakina. We have some sports media nuggets to pass along before we close up shop for hour number 1, Lakina. YouTube, which is owned by Google, they're going to have the NFL Sunday Ticket. If I have this prices right, I don't have the information in front of me yet. I think it's going to cost around $199 for the whole year if you're a YouTube TV subscriber. If not, it's going to cost you nearly $500. What's going on here?
Yeah, this is sort of one of those things where when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, this you may good luck to them trying to get folks to sign up for that, because these prices, especially nowadays with the economy the way it is and inflation still prevalent depending on where you are, this is kind of outrageous. So if you get something to get with the red zone, you got to pay extra, and then if you're not a YouTube TV subscriber, you'll pay even more. So it's sort of one of those things where you're kind of like, yeah, this is a little bit much. So I'm hoping look, they still got some time, but we're only in mid-April. Hopefully they can figure out something where maybe they can entice people, probably maybe offer some discounts, maybe perhaps offer like a free month, subscription. This way, if you do like it, they can kind of pursue it and such. Like, I know DirecTV did that too for many years. So they're going to have to do something because a lot of people are not going to pay almost $500 for Sunday ticket in with Red Zone, especially if you're not a YouTube subscriber. I mean, you're gonna look at this as like, yeah, what? I don't need it that badly.
Yeah, I know the NFL introduced NFL Plus last year. I forgot how much it was. I think it was $7.99 a month, $6.99 a month.
Something
I'm
like
talking
that.
about $6.99 a month. But they
Something
do
like
offer
that,
you the
yeah.
all 22 film package. I don't have it, but from what I read, they offer you the all 22 film package that has some exclusive content from NFL Films and other programming.
Right.
So besides broadcasting your live games locally in the national broadcast, so they do offer some of that. I think many people would turn to that. But I know YouTube and NFL is banking on people paying those prices. I don't know if everybody's going to do that.
Nope.
Do you, now if you offer an early bird discount, maybe.
Yes.
But if you offer a full price, especially for like us that are not subscribed to YouTube TV, you can forget it.
Yeah, let's say, I was like, I don't need it that badly. So,
Right, exactly. I love you, but not that much.
Yeah, I'll say, look, if anybody wants to, anybody who wants to, pay that much, for a Sunday ticket, I would say, good luck. Good luck to y'all. Try to figure it out. If you're in a group, setting where maybe you get, folks to kind of, put in like maybe 50 here or 100 or $25 or whatever to kind of like, help alleviate the expenses. Now they do offer like a monthly subscription. So if you do decide to opt out after maybe like a month or something, that they will do that. So, but at the same time, though, I mean, no one's gonna pay $500, especially if you're a non-YouTube subscriber, YouTube TV just subscriber, I should say. No, I'm not gonna do that. That's not a chance.
Yep. So we'll see what happens there, as YouTube TV will be your new home for NFL Sunday ticket coming up in the fall. All right, Lakina, I know that we're going to talk about basketball in the next hour, but the play-in games, at least 3 out of 4, has seen viewership increase over this time last year. On Tuesday night, the Hawks Heat averaged 2.24 million viewers on TNT, followed by 3.474 million viewers with the Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers. So Turner are doing backflips over there as they had their highest ratings this year for the play-in tournament. On Wednesday, the Bulls Raptors averaged 2.335 million, which includes 152,000 for Stephen A's world broadcast on ESPN2. I forgot all about that, thank goodness. And the Thunder and Pelicans averaged 2.858 million viewers on ESPN. I'm sure that's for many of you that haven't watched Oklahoma City play all year. I know they haven't been on national television that much. For most of the nation, that was their first time watching Oklahoma City play. And they gave the New Orleans Pelicans a battle and earned their way to a victory.
Yeah, I saw that. And I mean, look, Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Lou Dort, they each scored about like at least 25, over 25 points. Over 30 points. I know the SGA and Giddey, they scored about 32 and 31 points respectively. Dort scored 27. It's it's a little bit nutty here because if you're the Pelicans, after everything you guys went through this year with Zion and Brandon Ingram had a nice little showing late, he kind of sort of, we didn't see him too much in that game on Wednesday, so it just like makes you show that I guess Zion is really that important to that squad. So they weren't able to come in, and all they had to do was win this game and they were in. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe, the OKC is just that, sort of like a team on the rise, but also too, I mean, it kind of, the Pelicans got, caught sleepwalking a little bit here, I feel like.
Yeah, they did. And like I said, they had a great comeback, but they just couldn't hold off OKC. OKC rode their 2 young guys, when you're saying Giddey and Alexander, and they won. And New Orleans couldn't hit their free throws down the stretch, so we'll see what happens on our shout out to our buddy Lamont. Scotty chips in with a comment in the last second before we close out hour number 1. The Pelicans need to think about letting go of Zion. I know he played in 29 games this year, but what are you going to get for him?
Yeah, it's been injury plague, so I don't think you're not going to get much for him. So if you think that you're going to, I don't know if the Pelicans brass think that they can, just trade him and just, see if he can get maybe a first or a second rounder. They're not going to get that. So I don't know if you're going to be able to trade. I know I've heard, guys, folks over at, Get Up, we're talking about that too, that maybe you should trade him. To who and for what? You're not going to get a lot for him, especially since he hasn't played. So I don't know. You're not going to be able to get much for him. Now I want to talk about that that Heat Hawks series real quick. I mean, were they partying out in South Beach? I'm talking about the Heat for like those first 2 days. Like, what the heck happened? and I guess Jimmy Butler should have kept his mouth shut because I guess Deontay Murray did not take kindly to those comments that they made. So I don't know. I mean, it was just like, just
yeah. The only person
so,
that showed any passion on that Heat team was Udonis Haslem, and apparently that didn't work. And shout out to Udonis, but the rest of the team was not motivated at all. Atlanta was motivated. They won that game, and now they're going to face the Boston Celtics in the first round starting this weekend. So speaking of basketball, we just getting started. We're going to have our illustrious panel to kick off hour number 2 of Second City Sports as we preview tonight's Bulls Heat winner take all for the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference play-in game, followed by the Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we'll preview the rest of the playoffs, and we'll see who is the NBA champion coming out this June, and a whole lot more. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. Our basketball NBA playoff preview power hour is next. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Oh, my bad. Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports. We're live and live in color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Kales Go again on IG.
This is our Bulls Heat preview, NBA playoff preview, power hour. So if you want to talk any other sports, you have to go somewhere else for that. So we're going to get this party started. Lakina, let's introduce our illustrious panel.
All right, sis. So we're going to all of them our favorites. You guys have seen them all on the show before. We're gonna start with another one of our favorites, our first favorites, in no order, folks. I don't want our guys to be upset, but he's done great work for both War Media and as well as now the Bigs, covering the Bulls and the NBA for both. So he is the one, the only, the very fabulous Mr. Josh Hicks. Josh, how are you?
What's up, Sid and Lakina? Glad to be back on, and that was such a wonderful introduction. So I truly appreciate that.
Short and sweet and to the point. That's how I do it. So you can introduce our next panelist.
Our next guest, he's the co-host of the WVON Chicago's Friday night sports show, The Fundamentals. You can listen to tonight and every Friday night from 9 p.m. to midnight. For those of you that live outside the Chicago area, just download the iHeartRadio app. Just type in WVON 1690 AM in Chicago. You can catch the fabulous program. Here comes our good buddy, Mr. Titus T-Dub Williams. Titus, welcome back to the show.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Thank you for the great introduction.
All right,
yeah, no problem. And congratulations on you being the new program director as well. Congrats on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, you definitely deserve it, Ty. We will go back, years. So it's great, great things, big things are happening for you, both on and off mic. So another one of our favorites is, of course, he is the founder of Bow Sports. Also, of course, you can check him out as part of our illustrious panel here, and also too on CHGO Bulls and CHGO itself. The one, the only, another great guy, Mr. Big Dave Watson. Big Dave, how are you?
Wow. Peace. What's going on, man? Listen, I think you did it in order. You went best first, and then you went more best second, and then you went the worst last. And I think you went in that proper order. That was the right order to go in. That was the right order to go in, man. Those two dudes right there are incredible. You see what Josh is doing in the locker rooms. Congratulations, my man T-Dub, man. Being a program director, bro, brought me on VON for the very first time in my life. And I told him about that on the show, how important that was to me, man. So, yeah, man, I'm just happy to be here with y'all, man. Sid, I love seeing you, brother. It's always good to see y'all.
Thank you. Doing big things as you and Matt Peck always do. I know is Matt Peck getting ready for tonight's game. I know he couldn't join us, but is he calm or is he anxious?
Is he okay? Is he anxious? Yeah.
No, Matt's never okay. What do you mean? Like,
or is he working on getting Demar's Jordan over to South Beach? Maybe he's doing that.
Right. He's dealing with feelings. He's dealing with feelings right now. He doesn't know. He doesn't know if he wants them to lose so he can be right, or if he wants them to win because he's a colossal Bulls fan. So he's really in a weird place, as far as his emotions are concerned. So we'll find out tonight, man. We'll be doing the pregame and the postgame tonight. We'll find out.
Absolutely. Okay. And of course,
last
but certainly, No, you go ahead, Sid, because I know I did too. You should do
just want to remind our viewers and listeners, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
And also, too, of course, last but certainly not least, he is the other half of the fundamentals here. Another guy that we have had. I think this is like his third trip with us. So he is the one, the only. Also, you catch him on the fundamentals with Titus every Friday night tonight. In fact, so he's the one, the only Arturo DJ Turbine.
What's
Garba,
up?
How are you?
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. You think this is the third time I'm here?
I feel that's unfair.
Hold on. Wait. Oh, hey, calm down. All right.
This is hilarious. But
we're gonna be nice on this show, bro. This is their show.
I'm gonna do my best.
Stability here is good. So so we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna these next out about 50-55 minutes. So let's get right to it. We'll talk about this Bulls game against the Heat tonight. The Bulls came back Diana DeRozan, unfortunately, will not be there. Of course, she has school, and also I think Demar said she has a basketball game too. So unfortunately, she won't be able to come anyway. So I'll start with you, Josh. What do you think the Bulls' chances are of advancing tonight?
I want to say 50-50. And it really just depends on what type of Miami Heat team you're going to get. Because the reality is, yes, the Miami Heat have struggled throughout the season, but playoff Miami Heat is a completely different team from the regular season Miami. You still got Jimmy Butler over there. You still got Eric Spoelstra over there. And you still got veteran players that know how to ball and young guys that know how to step up in big moments like Bam Adebayo, etc. We have to remind ourselves, too, that this is a team, even though it was the bubble, they did go to the NBA Finals with the constructed roster that they do have right now. So they know what it's like to be in the playoffs, and they know what it's like to be in the biggest games and the biggest stages. Because of that, going against a Bulls team where even though we have made the playoffs last season, we're still kind of having a roller coaster season and an identity crisis. So I can't necessarily say and put trust in that on the Bulls right now, even though they've been playing pretty well as of late. That against a veteran team like Miami, there's levels to this, and the Bulls are not on that type of level yet. So because of that, as much as Matt maybe want the Bulls to win, I'm also with him in saying that we're probably gonna get kicked tonight, and that's okay. I'm cool with that. So we're probably gonna lose this game tonight, but with the Bulls and the way they've been playing as of recent, as I said, there's about a 50-50 chance.
Titus? Titus? Oh, did he freeze? Did he freeze on us? I think he froze. But Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the 50-50. I mean, that's just what the play-in is, Like everybody, no matter what you've done in the regular season, it's going to be 50-50. That's it. Period, point blank. Doesn't matter. I mean, the best example of that is the two games we saw previous to the Bulls. And that's the Heat and the Hawks, and that's OKC and the Pelicans. Both of those teams, the teams that lost, had beat them in the regular season 3-1. So when you get to this point, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. It all goes out the window. It's about who has the best player and who's the hottest. And the Bulls, in my opinion, right now, if playing the Heat, have the two best players. And even if you want to say 2-1, you know what I mean? Of course, you want to include Jimmy Butler in that. I'm going to take DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine over Jimmy Butler and whoever else you want to throw in there, whether it's Tyler Hero, whether it's Kyle Lowry, whether it's Victor Oladipo, whether it's Bam Adebayo. I'm going to take those two guys. Because what I saw Zach LaVine do in Toronto was something, I'm sure a lot of Bulls fans, including myself, have been crying for him to do. And that's look like the star, look like the dude. Like it wasn't, someone asked me on Twitter when he hit that 3-point shot, that heat check 3. That wasn't the shot that told me that he was on. It wasn't that one. It was the one in the fourth quarter where he was being guarded by Scotty Barnes at the top of the key, and Scotty Barnes put his elbow in his hip and pushed him off and said, "You're not driving." And Zach still took a fadeaway shot and cashed it right in his face. And you watch Scotty Barnes look at Nick Nurse like, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? Like that's the I'm better than you shot. That's the stuff I've been looking for from Zach LaVine, to show people that I'm better than you and none of y'all can stop me.
Right.
If he continues that in Miami, then and knowing who DeMar DeRozan is and what he does, if that's how it's going to be, I'm taking the Bulls to win this game. And again, everything Josh said is correct, because the Heat are a problem. Like this is who they are. The experience will come into play. The I don't want to lose comes into play. The fact that they're at home helps all these things. So you don't know what Heat team you're getting. I've seen the Heat be carried by Gabe Vincent. I've seen them be carried by Dwayne Dedman. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what kind of team you're getting out there. So, but in the end, in this kind of situation, I go with the two best on the floor. And in my opinion, that's DeMar and Zach. So I think the Bulls will pull this one out.
Titus? Okay, we're still having. Okay, Arturo, go ahead, because I think we're still having issues with his wife.
Got you. My thoughts gonna be, it's very up and down because as much as I want to buy in, as you guys can clearly see, I'm ready for tonight. This team scares me when it comes to the Bulls because it'd be very serendipitous if, just like every time this season, once we get they make me believe a little, they pull the rug right underneath me, and it sucks. And I want to say that that's behind us because the team we've seen post All-Star break is really a different team. It does make a difference when you realize what a point guard does when you actually get a point. Pat Bev, he made that difference. I really believe that. He allowed most of the guys prior to Lonzo's injury, allowed them to go right back into the roles that they originally were in and were comfortable in. And I think that's actually part of what helped this team find their comfortability and their groove. And I'm not saying Pat is Lonzo, but he has Lonzo-esque traits. He can be a good defender. He can get you with a three sometimes. He didn't do it in Toronto. Hopefully tonight he gets a couple more, but he can get some of those when you need them. As for tonight, I share my thoughts with Big Dave. Big money moment right now. I'm going with DeMar and Zach. I just feel that Kyle Lowry is not the best sidekick to Jimmy Butler. I've seen Jimmy Butler on his own back win 2 NBA final games on his own and look like Hercules.
True.
But there's nobody else other than that right now on that team. I'll say this one more thing. I'm sorry. Kyle Lowry, he just gave us a 30-piece in that loss to Atlanta. History shows me that, well, that's it. He's not going to give me another one, at least for a couple. So he might have wasted that one match and say, all right, I'm going to try to win this one. But okay, you might have wasted that one good piece for the real game. So barring Bam Adebayo, being like giving me a triple-double somewhere for them, I'm with the Bulls. If not, I'm looking ridiculous right now, guys, and I'm going with them.
Sid, what do you think?
I agree with Josh. The Bulls have the 50-50 shot tonight of winning this game, but I will piggyback off of Dave's point. It's up to Zach LaVine, the way he's been playing since the All-Star break. Lakina, we talked about this on the show leading up to now. Zach LaVine doesn't have to do his poor man's Damian Lillard's taking the first jump shot you see. He's attacking the rim. He's trusting his knee. He's finally healthy. He's being aggressive going to the basket. When Zach LaVine does that, it opens up his game and opens up the offensive flow for the rest of the guys on that team. But what concerns me tonight, going on the flip side for Miami, it looks like Kyle Lowry might be in the starting lineup. We'll see when game time arrives. But Bam Adebayo has been the second best player offensively all year. If Bam Adebayo drops a 26 and 12 piece on the Bulls are in trouble because what's been their problem the last couple of years? Defense, especially within the interior. So if Bam Adebayo gives off tonight offensively, the Bulls are in trouble. And for the Miami Heat, outside of Jimmy Butler, where are they going to get that secondary scoring from? Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro. They've been struggling shooting from the outside all year. So the Heat must get some additional scoring help outside of Butler and Adebayo. And on the flip side for the Bulls, just keep up that defensive intensity like they did in the second half. I'm looking for Alex Caruso and Patrick Beverley to have another strong impact defensively tonight.
Yeah, I think for me, it's that who's going to set the tone early. Can the Bulls set that tone early? We know how they are with slow starts. So it's going to be interesting to see if which team is going to be. I think for me, this game is going to be which team is going to want it more. And it's interesting because I didn't see that against the Heat on Wednesday. I didn't see that with the Heat, and Sarah, Sarah agrees with you, Arturo. I think for me, I think definitely going to set the tone for them early on. If we see that Heat team we saw in Atlanta, the Bulls might have a shot to go pull it away. If we see the Bulls team that that tests out against Toronto, might have a problem. So for me, I think like Josh says, it's going to be 50-50, but it's going to be very interesting to see if who sets the tone early. I think that's going to be the key here in this game tonight.
True. All that's factual. And I also think that the Bulls being on the road helps them because the Bulls are terrible when they're comfortable. And when the Bulls think that they're, they got a team and like, oh, we don't have to play against them, they get their ass whooped. And we've seen it all season long, whether it's been Indiana, whether it's been Charlotte, like just those teams that like supposed to beat, they don't come out and compete the same way. Now, again, this is what Arturo mentioned, talking about Patrick Beverley. These are the kind of things he brings in. because being in this situation, he will not allow people to get to that level mentally. Guys are going to have to be strong mentally, in this situation. But just seeing how the Bulls have performed against teams they feel like they're better than, it's good for them to be on the road. It's good for them to have this adversity. It's good for them to be the underdogs right about now when everybody's looking at them like, yeah, we saw you do it, but, Miami's a little better than you. Like they might be better coached than you. It might be deeper. Max Strus might go off on you. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But the fact that they're underdogs and on the road and they don't get to come back and reap all the love, and benefits and things like that, I think will help them, because they have shown this season when they get that stuff, they listen to it, which is all. It's listening to the compliments is just as detrimental as listening to the complaints. You know what I mean? And the Bulls have shown that all season long. And yeah, hopefully in Miami, they won't be listening to anything or kicking it in South Beach or nothing like that. And they'll come out and actually, perform tonight.
I want to ask you guys about the Bulls front line, as I talked about before, trying to handle Bam Adebayo. Of course, Nikolai Vucevic had 14 and 13 in the win against Toronto the other night. Patrick Williams off the bench in 25 minutes of action. He had 10 points, 2 rebounds. What do we expect out of those two gentlemen tonight? Arturo, I'll start with you.
When it comes to the matchup, I personally still like Vooch more than Bam. You can debate me on that. We can have a whole different conversation about that, but I like the way Vooch has been playing. But I like the Bulls more in this matchup because I feel that only if it's actually contingent. If Billy decides to use Drummond a little bit more, I know he likes to put Derek at the 5. I get the small ball rotation. I get it. I really do. But when it comes to scenarios where you're clearly bigger than the other team, I don't like playing to other teams. Why don't you make teams play to you? Why don't I stick the big guy out there and make you come defend me? It's the chess matchup of basketball, but that's just me. I want to see that. Also, I didn't even see Kevin Love for the Heat in last game. I think he only logged in 3 minutes, something like that. It wasn't really big. So I don't even know if he's going to be a factor tonight. And when it comes down to that one, I've always said this, even back to the finals when they were in the bubble, the Heat have always been so small, and Bam has always been doing it by himself. No matter if you get Dwayne Dedman or I can't remember the other gentleman's name, number 77 for Miami, the other guy help they have there. Even when you get Kevin Love, I just feel like they never really get adequate help for Bam. And when it comes to scenarios, I think our bigs, a combination of Vooch and Drummond, is better than just Bam on his own. But I say it's contingent if Drummond gets on the floor.
Josh?
No, I think Arturo hit the nail in the coffin. I think the biggest key really is actually Andre Drummond, because when you put Andre Drummond out there and you actually give him the quality minutes that he rightfully deserves to be playing, he will give you a walking double easy with impact on the rebounding side of things, which is what the Bulls struggle in, especially late game situations. So I think once Billy for once goes away from this small ball lineup and plays big, and actually trust Drummond to play quality minutes without getting into foul trouble, because that's on Drummond's issue too. He constantly gets into foul trouble. If he can stay out of foul trouble and play quality minutes for this Bulls team, that's going to increase their chances of not just taking over that rebounding game, which is what the Bulls struggle in, but also adding versatility offensively as well. Because if you were to play Andre Drummond and Vucevic at the same time, which the Bulls rarely do, but if you were able to do that, you can have Drummond take over the paint and guard a Bam Adebayo, and you can actually give Vucevic freedom to do pick and pop, or he can control the other block where you can still feed it to him in a post and still move the ball around that way. I think the Bulls have enough quality talent, especially around the perimeter, to aid that type of offense. But we always talk about the big men, and we've been talking about the big men in this conversation. Billy Donovan has to make the coaching moves and the right coaching moves to make this efficient enough and applicable on the court. So as much as we talk about what we expect out of the Bulls in these big men rosters, we also need to have that same expectations for Billy Donovan. And is he going to make the right moves necessary to put the right people in the right positions on the court come this go around? Because we already know Billy Donovan does have question marks when it comes to playoffs and expectations when it comes to his coaching. So that's something we need to, pay attention to, on top of the fact of what we expect coming from the front court that the Bulls have to offer.
Dave?
Yeah, those are great points. The one here's the pushback I'll give you. You and Arturo on Drummond is the problem is you never know what Drummond you're gonna get, and he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So one game you'll see what he did against the Raptors because I was screaming for him to be in against the Raptors. I thought he would be the X factor against the Raptors because you know how the Raptors dominate the Bulls on offensive rebounding, and I thought like he should be in there. And the moment he walked in the game, he immediately got a block, he immediately scored, and then he got a rebound, and then he scored again. And that was all in like 3-4 minutes. He did that, and then we never saw him again. But I thought Drummond was going to be key, and he was early on for that team. The issue with him is he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Like, I don't know if he's going to be that dude that does what I saw against the Raptors, or is he going to be the dude that takes it at the top of the key and tries to be Steph Curry, you know, just out of nowhere, you know, for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got a lot of JaVale McGee in him. You know what I mean? Like, he really does. And it's like, dude, I don't need you to do that. And that's why the trust hasn't been there for him, for Drummond, is because you don't know what you're going to get. And in the playoffs, in a win or go home situation, it's hard to trust somebody you don't know what they're going to be, especially when they're not a shooter. You know, when they're a shooter, you put them in, you'll see it, and they'll be like, all right, you hot, I'll leave you in. All right, you not hot, I can take you out. Drummond's different because if it goes bad, it goes bad. You know what I'm saying? It goes really, really bad. You know what I'm saying? For Andre Drummond. But I agree. I think he should get in the game just because, you know, of like you spoke about, the rebounding will be key. As you saw against Atlanta, Clint Capella looked like Moses Malone out there.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
The man had like only 4 points, but he had 21 rebounds and like 4 blocks. Like, Jimmy Butler couldn't do anything when he went inside against Clint Capella. That's going to be super key tonight. So either Vooch will have it going or it's going to be Drummond, you know, one or the other. So we'll see how Billy does it. And you mentioned Billy Donovan. And I thought last game, this is only the second time I've said this season about Billy Donovan. I thought that he outcoached Nick Nurse. I really do. And that's the second time I've said that this season. And both times I've said it, it's been after Patrick Beverley's been here. You know, like, I was like, I feel like he outcoached him, man. Like, I love the adjustments he made. I was screaming for Derrick Jones Jr. to be in the game just because of his length and athleticism, because when they would run the pick and roll with Van Fleet, he was cooking Vooch, you know, because Vooch can't guard him. So when they switched that and ran it with Derrick Jones Jr., you saw the second half that Van Fleet had. It wasn't great. So I think that was really important. And I appreciate Billy, you know, for making those kind of adjustments. But yeah, man, it's because the Heat are so different and weird because they're small, but they're not. They're a great shooting team, but they're not. They're a great rebounding team, but they're not, you know. And the guy that scares me is one of the guys you mentioned was Kevin Love. Like, Kevin Love always has a good game against the Bulls because the Bulls are terrible against guarding the three. And you can't leave a dude that wide open. And Kevin Love will just be sitting out there wide open, and he'll hit that shot all day long. So, yeah, man, like the Bulls, it's not a done deal, you know what I'm saying, for them to come in this game. And it's not a done deal for the Heat either. Right. And that's what makes it so up and down and weird, you know, for them. So it's just about who wants it more. And it just honestly feels like the Heat don't want it. You know, it just feels like they don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels that way. I could be completely wrong, you know, tonight when you see how they play, but it just kind of feels that way. And I hope that's the case. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. But yeah, everybody you guys mentioned, I completely agree with. They have to have those kind of big games for the Bulls to win.
Okay, we're gonna try one more time with Titus here. Now, Titus, unmute yourself, Titus. Unmute yourself, my friend.
I apologize. All my devices were going down at the same time. I couldn't hear at first. So I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, Andre Drummond. You know, who do you think he could be a factor in tonight's game?
Yes, very much so. With the smallness of the Miami Heat, and DJ Turbine and I talk about this all the time, that the Heat have a great team, but they're just small rebounding team. So we're bringing in Drummond in particular situations when you know you need Vooch needs a rest. The power forward position is already kind of suspect anyway with having Patrick Williams or Alex Caruso at that position. So I think Drummond can be a big factor in tonight's game rebounding wise. Also, a little bit offensively, he does bring a little bit of edge because of his capability of putting together putback rebounds and dunks to give him opportunities as well. So also another intangible that we don't talk about too much is the fact that his defense as well, that he's able to get steals too. So that can lead to fast break transition points to the Bulls. So I think that he can be a big factor in tonight's game.
All right. Yeah, I think for me, I think you guys have been saying it. I mean, if we get the good Andre Drummond, then we can see the Bulls advancing. But if we get the bad one where he makes, reckless fouls and such, I'm a little worried, and Billy may have to, kind of yank him off, right away. So I think that's going to be the key here for Drummond, in this tonight. But yeah, let's see what happens. Look, it should be a great game. It should be very entertaining. It's 50-50, so it's gonna. Unfortunately, Dinar will not, Damar's little girl will not be there. So we'll see what happens. Someone's gonna take over the screen.
Buy her a pony.
I don't think this game will be 50-50, honestly.
Okay, what'd you think it'd be?
I think the Bulls are going to win this game. I think they're going to surprise us and actually win this game. I think it's going to be another close game, another close finish, but I think they can actually do it because, honestly, Patrick Beverley, I think that his intangible and the energy that he brings to this team is something that they've been needing all season. We talked about this most of the season with just that spirit that they don't have. They need that enforcer, and I think that he brings that to the table because he's never not missed the playoffs in his whole career. So he has to be talking to the guys and saying, hey, we got to get this together. I don't want to lose. I want to make the playoffs. And I think they're going to play inspired basketball tonight. And if we can have any performance like what we got from Zach LaVine the other day, then I believe that the Bulls will win this game.
Yo, I'll say this to you. When we were doing we were predicting the scores, for CHGO, I picked the Bulls to win by like over 10 points. I think they should win this game. I really do. But to act like it's not 50, I can't do that. Like, I completely agree with Josh because I can't sit here and be like, no, it's not 50-50 because it's 50-50. Like anybody can win. Like, it was the same thing with the Raptors game. Like, there were more people picking the Raptors, in that game just because of what they saw, how the Bulls play. Now, since the Bulls won, you feel that momentum, you know what I mean? And it feels nice. And you're going up against a team that lost. But also, we've seen the Bulls lay stinkers after winning games like this, bro. We've seen it. We watched it. And it stinks and it hurts. So that's why I can't dismiss the 50-50 because that's just the fact of the matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no tomorrow on this, man. And I've seen the Bulls play when there's no tomorrow and they didn't make it to mañana. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen it, bro. So it's difficult, man. But I agree with you in that sense, though. Like, I think they should win this game. Handle. I really do. I think they should win this game and shut this down. Now, I don't think Miami wants it at all.
Okay. Tonight's game will take place in Miami, Florida at 6 o'clock. You can watch that game on TNT. We reached the bottom of the hour of our Bulls Heat / NBA playoff preview power hour. I'm Sid the Kid along with my co-host, Miss Lakina McGee. We're live and live in color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Hanging out with our illustrious panel, Big Dave Watson from CHGO, Joshua M. Hicks from War Media It's the Bigs, and of course, our both co-hosts of the Fundamentals on WVON Chicago, Titus T.W. Williams and Arturo Garza. Before we preview the rest of the playoff field, I want to get you guys' opinions of the other two playoff playing games that took place the other day, Minnesota and the Lakers, and of course OKC and the Pelicans. T-Dub, I'll start with you. The Lakers and the Timberwolves did battle the other night, formerly known as Staples Center. Anthony Davis did something stupid at the end of regulation, but he was bailed out by LeBron James and his teammates in overtime. Minnesota had that big lead, but they blew it. What did you think about that game, and of course about the OKC beating the Pelicans?
Well, I honestly thought that the Lakers would make the playoffs. I thought that if they could just stay healthy any type of way down the stretch, that they can make the playoffs. And here they are in that game. Honestly, like you said, AD made a dumb move, but it was just a really good game in general. Overall, I think that they showed the fight and tenacity that they needed to come back to win because LeBron is setting the tone now. He has a team that he does like. He has a team that's capable of winning. Now, will they go all the way? Nah, I don't know about all that. But I think they did have a great shot at making the playoffs, and I like the schedule so far of the play-in battles that they had in order to make the playoffs. So I really like what I saw from the Lakers. Now, from the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm actually not surprised about them at all because they really hurt themselves a lot this season. They kind of had what the Bulls had most of the season with trying to figure out their identity and who they are. They have good superstars on the team, but they just have so much drama inside trying to figure out who and what they are that it kind of got in the way of their season. And they did not get hot at the right time. So I'm not really surprised about the Minnesota game. The OKC game, now I was actually very surprised about that. I thought that New Orleans was going to win that game easily, hands down. They played in the play-in tournament last year. I thought that they knew from experience exactly what they had to do in order to get back to the playoffs. But that young OKC team is very hungry and scrappy. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey, they are going to be two bona fide superstars. I love exactly what they're building in OKC. I think they got some really good talent down there, and the sky's the limit for this young team because they're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. So either way it goes, you made the playoffs. If you actually do win the game, congratulations. If you don't, then it's not a total wash because you were a rebuilding team anyway.
Arturo?
We're talking about the Minnesota Laker matchup or the OKC or both?
Both.
Well, got you. Okay. For the LA and the Minnesota matchup, I'm surprised that first of all, Titus, were you trying to say when you say the Minnesota hurts themselves, are you taking shots at McDaniels?
Yes, actually, yeah. Literally.
I had to call you out on that because I'm like, he's funny.
I'm glad you caught that.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I just had my co-host. Anyways, but it's crazy to know that in that game, the former Utah Jazz that showed up was not Rudy. It was Mike Conley Jr. And that performance he had, I'm just sad that it went to waste because that was such a great performance. I really thought they were going to win that. And then for LeBron to come in the way he did, to piggyback off what T-Dub said, that he is in playoff mode. I love the fact that the NBA is doing that for their advertisement now in playoff mode because it's going to be a thing because it really is. LeBron is not getting off the court and the Lakers will be a hard out. And as far as for Minnesota goes, you put yourself in that spot. You put yourself in a very situation where mentally, I don't know if y'all were all ready to play because you're thinking about how you invested in a guy who punches you and then does a moonwalk. And then I just, like, to quote Charles Barkley, how you going to punch somebody and you back up? But, anyways, they missed him sorely because quite frankly, I felt that if one more guy to get that extra body off of Cat, he wouldn't have been in foul trouble as much as he would have been. He would have been able to play a little bit more freely. And I think that's actually what Rudy would have been there for. And I think that's what he's going to be there for in this next matchup against OKC. They're small. And Rudy, he has been there. Believe it or not, guys, he does have a resume. I know he doesn't – playoff Rudy isn't that good, but I do believe that in this team – he doesn't need to be anything bigger than just that defensive Rudy. I don't need you to go crazy. Just give me them boards, give me the blocks. If you can give me at least 6 points, that's a minimal, guys. If you can give me 6 points, I'm happy. But let the other guys worry about the rest. And then as far as when it comes to OKC and the Pelicans, I share the same sentiments with T-Dub because I thought the Pelicans had it, but it just felt like partway through, that effort went away or the care went away. I don't know if their team kind of felt demoralized after Zion basically saying, I can play. I can do a pre-dunk show before the game, but I'm not going to play in the game, which if I'm on the team, I'm kind of mad. But, you want to sit Larry Nance Jr. saying that, oh, we're all cool. But you can tell CJ McCollum, who is actually the veteran leader of that team, is not happy, and that's an issue. So you can mask all you want, but I think this team had so much more baggage going into it, and OKC caught him at the right time. SGA, that is a bona fide stud. That is a dog. I love me some SGA. He gonna be taking over, and OKC, like again, Titus pretty much said everything there. They have nothing to lose. It's all house money. See what happens next round.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with the Lakers Timberwolves game just because LeBron is LeBron. LeBron missed the playoffs 2 straight years. He was not going to just make that 3 straight, knowing his talent and the way that he operates, within the league. And on top of that too, you got to give a lot of credit to Rob Pelinka and how they flipped that team around, because it flipped into a team where, LeBron was able to work with this team and actually lead this team in a way that he knows best. And that's what helped them get to this position, especially in key moments in that last game. So I wasn't surprised by the outcome of that. Timberwolves got some growing up to do still, and figuring out what their identity is. But the Lakers did what they were supposed to do. Now they're and let's see if that carries over into a full 7-game series against the Memphis Grizzlies, which is a team that they have their issues, but at the same time they're a team not to mess with. So I want to see how that that series comes around. When we talk about OKC in New Orleans, man, SGA has arrived. He's arrived. And OKC has arrived, because people, obviously this is a young team, but people forget they did this whole thing without Chet Holmgren. He's been gone this whole year. He's coming back next year. Plus they got picks, so they can only build on top of what they have, and they're already considered a playoff team in their first year of a full rebuild. That's impressive to not just the emergence of SGA, but that coaching staff and what Sam Presti's doing in that front office. And it really demonstrated and this whole season, you saw the growth of OKC, in the maturation process. And it showed in that game, because when SGA needed to come through the most, he came through the most. And Josh Giddey, it really kind of kept the team a coast until it was time for SGA to take over, which is something New Orleans really could have applied themselves if CJ McCollum took over and then let BI come through and take over the reins from there. But I think that, like you said, I think the Zion situation really messed that up that much more than they want to admit. And at the end of the day, it kind of messed with the cohesion of the team. And you kind of saw how it crumbled over time in that game. But SGA has arrived, man. Chris Paul has helped mature that brother into a real leader. And you see it on the court now, and the fact that he's doing it in this way, not just, defensively, which we know he's really good at, always was known for as part of his niche, but the way he's scoring the ball offensively, that growth in his offensive game, where he's not only facilitating, but creating his own. That's something that's impressive to watch and see. And I believe that they're going to take this into the playoffs. I believe they're going to win this next game, and they're going to get to the actual playoff. And they're not going to make it past the first round. Right. But man, just for the Oklahoma City Thunder to get to this position and into the playoffs alone is a testament to what's going on in Oklahoma City, the growth that's taking place there. And it's going to be a beautiful sight to see once they get Chet Holmgren to come back, as well as other picks.
Dave, I know you got a jet, so we'll keep it short and sweet, so like a Cliff Notes version. Do you see any upset? Yeah, no, go ahead. You can answer that.
Let me respond to this though, real quick, and then you can give me that one. The OKC Pelicans game, I thought that it would be a toss-up, and I thought that would be the best game among all these games. Even though the Pelicans won 3-1, I still thought that OKC has the best player on the floor in SGA. This dude's been special. Like, when you're doing stuff Jordan's done, you're special. That's the bottom line of it. You know what I mean? He's the second youngest guard to average 30 plus and shoot 50% from the field. You know what I mean? That's the second youngest guard outside of Jordan. You know what I mean? To do something like that. That's special. And he doesn't shoot threes. Like, that's a special basketball player. So I thought that it would be close, but I thought OKC would kind of pull it out. But I was interested in the Pelicans because they had never played the Thunder with Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum in the lineup. That had never happened. So I thought that would be interesting, and I thought maybe that would help the Pelicans. But as you saw, it didn't. They just had the best player, and Josh Giddey is coming. You know what I'm saying? He is coming, dog. That dude, he's a monster. So I'm not surprised at what the Thunder's doing. They have nothing to lose at all. They have tons of draft picks. You know what I mean? They don't care. Like, winning is great for them right now, but that's not their focus. Their focus is, the longevity. But it's great when you got those kind of players on your team. You know what I'm saying? Like, right there. Even though I disagree with SGA's outfit with the red boots, he's gonna be mad at that when hey, bro, in 10 years he's gonna be pissed. He's gonna be pissed at that outfit. I promise you. But he's gonna be so upset. But the Lakers game, I hate it. So, because I turned it off, because after Karl Anthony Towns got called for that foul, against Anthony Davis where Davis just flopped and they called a foul, and then he got a foul the very next possession for Anthony Davis. I turned the game off because I was like, oh, the Lakers are clearly winning this one. I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, this is over.
Yeah.
And I had no fun watching that game. And I don't want to, and I hate saying it like this because I hate taking away from greatness. Like you saw LeBron out there just being great. You know what I'm saying? Like that dude was great out there for that squad. That pass he made over to Dennis Schroeder was great. Was phenomenal, man. Like I don't want to remove the greatness from him. But I will say this. I think they're going to get a mud hole stopped in them by the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies are going to smash the Lakers, dog. Like they're lucky Steven Adams isn't playing because I would call a sweep if Steven Adams was playing. I really would. I think it would. It wouldn't have been close in my opinion. But Ja Morant and you know JJJ and Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bain, like they are a team full of goons and they are hungry. Like they are starving. You know what I'm saying? And the Lakers, I don't think they have enough of those starving guys on their team. They got guys who want it, but let me say it like this. They got guys who want it, but don't have that same kind of talent. So you got Austin Reeves, you know, you got Schroeder, you got Troy Brown Jr. We know Troy Brown Jr. Oh my God. So you correct. So you got those guys on your team who want it, but if I'm comparing you to what they got and the guys who really want it on their squad, I'm taking Memphis, man. Like Memphis is good without Ja Morant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's scary, dog. That's terrifying. So they're a very, very scary team. I think they're wonderfully well coached and they've got it all, man. I think their destiny is to make a deep run. We'll see what it is when it happens. We'll see if the Lakers make it a series, but in my opinion, I think they're gonna get them dudes out of there.
Yeah, should be interesting. So I know you got a jet, Dave. So real quick, who is your NBA Finals and your champion and your Finals MVP?
Oh, I haven't thought about this yet till now. Till you're asking me right now. Oh man, so I truly in my heart want to say Philly is going, but I just don't believe in them. Simply, and I'm gonna go with Boston. I'm gonna say Boston goes back to the finals. I think they're going against Denver. And the reason I say Denver is because Denver has to make it. Because Denver has legacy on the line. Because if Jokic, last time on, y'all heard me talking about Jokic and how it was like, if he wins 3 MVPs, I'm gonna be hard as shit on him and just be all over him if he wins 3 MVPs, bro. 3 MVPs and no finals appearance, like I was gonna be all over that dude. Okay, I was gonna be leading the charge. Okay, with the pitchforks and everything, I was gonna be leading the charge. But it doesn't seem like he's gonna get it. Seems like it's going to be. But regardless, he's playing for legacy, and that team healthy, I thought was going to be the best team in the West. That's what I thought, and they've been healthy, and they're the best team in the West. So I don't see why that shouldn't continue for them. I don't think they're scared of anybody. I think they've got everything that they need to make. I'm not saying it's going to be easy because Golden State is always a problem, period, point blank. They're always an issue. But I just really think that the Denver Nuggets can get it done and get over this hump and get to that NBA Finals. And if it's going to be Boston and Denver, then I'm going with Boston to win it. And MVP, I'm gonna say Tatum, just because Tatum is a goon on the low. Like Tatum wants it. You know what I'm saying? Like he wants it so bad. He is a goon on the low. And because he's, raised by Kobe. You know what I mean? Like he's a goon on the low, bro. So I think he's gonna be going for it. And I think he's gonna get it, man. Like that dude is gonna have a 40 or 50 point performance in him to carry the squad. I really believe that. I don't want to discount Milwaukee because they got everything. You know what I'm saying? They have it all, dog. They really, truly have it all, including the experience. They've got it all out there. So, and I don't want to discount Phoenix either. And I know Josh loves Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? Like for how they roll, bro. Like they got Kevin Durant. For that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be so interesting. But I think Denver, and I'm picking Denver because I think they should do it. You know what I'm saying? More than I actually believe that they'll do it, but I think they should do it more so than any team in the West. And the other team that's behind them that should do it is Phoenix. That's the second team that should, because they're set up to go to the finals. That's what they're set up to do. They did all this shit to go to the finals. Like made all these moves, all these adjustments, dealt with all this stuff with the Ayton just to get to the NBA Finals. So I think that's what it's going to be, though, man. And I'm just ready to sit back and watch it. I can't wait. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? It's my favorite time of year, man. And yeah, man, it's just
here.
Absolutely. So where people can find you and on social media and on CHGO, all that good stuff.
Thank y'all for having me on, man. I love all these people on this show. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know how I feel about the fundamentals, man. And Josh, you know what I'm saying? I just watch Josh grow every time I see him, bro, and just get better every time I see him. And see it, man. You already know, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, how I feel about you, man. And Lakina, come on, man. Stop. So, you can follow me, you know, at Ball Sports, BAWL Sports. There'll definitely be more Ball on Bulls coming. You know what I'm saying? They'll definitely be on the way. We'll definitely be on that. But yes, you can find me doing that, and you can find me at CHGO Bulls, doing the pre and post game. And when the season ends, we'll still be there doing shows 5 days a week, knocking them out, you know, for the Chicago Bulls every time, man. So yeah, you can find me there. Find me them two places. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Come hang out, come say hey, come follow me, all the other cool stuff.
There you go.
All right. Tell Matt and the guys at CHGO we say what's up, and you guys have a good show tonight. And hopefully we'll be celebrating the Bulls win. Matt will go crazy again.
I can't wait, Lakina.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave. You stay safe.
Thanks, Dave.
Peace.
All right, gentlemen. Now, we'll get to you guys first, because as we talk about the rest of the series, we'll start with the East real quick. Do you guys see any potential upsets with the East? Josh, I'll start with you.
Oh, man. I think there's a decent chance. I'm not calling it, but I do think it's a decent chance that the Cavs could get upset by these Knicks. And I'm saying that because the Knicks have been balling since post-All-Star break. Thibodeau has got this team bought into the defensive end. Julius Randle has been the leader, but Jalen Brunson was such an underrated pickup this offseason that this dude has showed that he's worth that $100 million deal that they gave this dude. He's a true leader on the court. The Illinois native is putting the team on his back and letting them know, like, I'm the real deal. And I think the addition of the trade deadline when they got Josh Hart really helped boost through that bench to a point where it brought stability on both ends of the floor that the team need, knowing that it can carry them until the leaders of Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson can take it home. And having that stability is key for the playoffs, especially when you talk about what Josh Hart brings as a 3-and-D guy, and the offense slows down to a half-court game. So because of that, the Cavs are great. Donovan Mitchell's been killing all season long. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Darius Garland, and those boys, they're no joke. And I do think they've improved on last season as being one of them sleeper teams in the play-in. However, this Knicks team is a beast, and you can't just write them off. So I do think they're going to make a good run with the Cavs and challenge them. I think I do believe it has a chance to be a 7-game series. I really do. I do think the Cavs will still make it out. However, the Knicks are no joke this season. And if they play like they've been playing all post All-Star break, Cleveland's gonna have a lot on their hands to handle.
Arturo?
I agree completely. Part of me wants to sit there and say, you know, long shots, the Bulls get in, and maybe we got a shot against Milwaukee. But realistically speaking, I'm going right there with Cleveland and New York and saying that New York could probably turn some heads there. Other than that, I don't see Philly going down to Brooklyn. I don't see Boston going down to Atlanta. So maybe New York.
Titus?
I totally agree. I mean, everything Josh said is 100% facts. I believe that the Knicks will win this series for sure. I think, like you said, that addition of Josh Hart's stability at the trade deadline was the perfect move. When they made the trade, I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is exactly what they needed for that stability. And Jalen Brunson is playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's just been phenomenal this whole season. He's proved that he's worth that $100 million contract. And look at the team that he used to play for and see how bad they've struggled since he's been gone. The Dallas Mavericks, with Lucas saying that we needed him desperately, and then go and do this exactly with the Knicks in his first year. By far, I think the Knicks will win this series easily.
What do you think, Sid?
I agree with you guys. I think the Knicks could upset the Cavs, but here's the thing, and I wanted to piggyback off of Josh's point. Remember, Julius Randle hurt himself toward the end of the regular season. How healthy can he be once the bell rings this weekend? And on the flip side for Cleveland, we know Donovan Mitchell is going to bring it, but will my guy Jared Allen, All-Star last year, will he bring it? Darius Garland, you saw that he disappeared in the playing game against Brooklyn last year. So I want to see how those two guys on Cleveland respond, along with Caris LeVert, if he plays for the Cavs for this series. I think it's going to be a long series, but I'm picking Cleveland to win. But it depends on how much Julius Randle, how much healthy he is for this Knicks team. You know, you mentioned Jalen Brunson. He should have been an All-Star this year, but that's a whole nother conversation. So, and some of the other young guys are going to have to step up for the Knicks too, like Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett. And so I think it's going to be a long series, but I'll be that bad guy. I think I'll pick Cleveland about 6 or 7 games.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, because I think the Knicks, especially depending on what Julius Randle and his health, I think that's going to be the real wild card. I like what Josh Hart's doing, but you don't know which Knicks team you're going to get. And I know, and look, Donovan has been wanting to want to play in the playoffs for years, it seems. So he wants to make his mark, and I feel like this is going to be the Cavs' time. And plus, 4-5 isn't really an upset. So the Knicks beat the Cavs. I mean, it's not really an upset. So. It is what it is here now. Real quick, how about on the Western side? I'll start on the Western side. I think the Lakers could beat the Grizzlies. I might regret saying that later on, but I feel like the experience and, with and John Morant, I mean, it's going to go 6 or 7, but I think the Lakers are going to pull it off, I think. I wouldn't be surprised. The Warriors beating the Kings really wouldn't be an upset either for me, even though, yes, you got a 6 or over 3, but you got experience and such. That's going to play a factor as well. Suns and Clippers. I know I picked the Clippers to go to the finals early, but I'm changing and picking over to the Suns. So Arturo, I'll start with you real quick. You see the upsets in the West?
You actually just said it. Believe it or not, mine is actually between the Clippers and the Suns. There's so many narratives into it, but prior to that, I am a huge supporter of Kawhi Leonard. Do not tell DeMar DeRozan. But I am a big because I believe that he is very underrated, and it's been a couple seasons since obviously the Toronto Magic run, but he is undeniably so talented as a two-way player that I believe that he just goes unforgotten in certain situations. That it's kind of funny to say the last time we saw Kawhi and KD go at it, KD got hurt in the finals, and I'm not throwing that out there as a fun nugget there, but I'm just saying that. I believe any team could do it. It's the Clippers, and there's more motivation. Granted, Paul George is gone, but I think that they have enough there to actually go. But Kevin Durant is on the other side, so I understand, but that's why I call it upset.
Titus?
I think we lost him.
Titus, I think we lost Titus. Josh, go ahead.
Oh man, I don't really see an upset in the West. I really don't. But I do think the best series in the West is going to be obviously Phoenix and the Clippers. Just because Clippers are loaded. Like, don't get it twisted. Yes, they have had their issues all year long, but they are loaded. They got a heck of a starting 5 with a bench to go with it. And you got the head coach of Ty Lue, who was an NBA champion and coached LeBron James to an NBA championship. He knows what it's like to coach superstars and get them to that next level of what it means to win. So, knowing that, it's hard to go against the Clippers because they are poised to make a deep playoff run if all the dots connect, especially when you talk about the addition of Russell Westbrook, because the team itself has kind of derailed a little bit since he has arrived. Russ has been playing better, but they haven't always equated to winning. So, I do think that if they could get that together, they're gonna be a hard out. But you know me, KD all day. KD mixed in with Devin Booker. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. I hope the Clippers have the defensive stoppers to kind of slow that down. But that's a whole nother machine. When you talk about that, combined with Chris Paul, who can give you, if he stays healthy, can give you 20 a game. And people have to be mindful of this as well. You do got Terrence Ross coming off your bench. That's an easy 25, 30 on any given night coming off your bench. So Phoenix got some reinforcements as well. And since they've been to the finals already, I know they're power hungry to get back to the finals with Monty Williams leading the helm as their head coach. So I don't see really too many upsets on the Western Conference side. However, I do see a lot of strong competition like this series, and I think this series is going to be the most series to pay attention to because of the fact that there's so much star power, and it can go either way on both sides, and honestly, still make the playoffs that much more competitive and fun to watch.
All right, Titus.
Count the Warriors at all. I mean, a lot of people always sleep on the Warriors at the end of the season, and when they're healthy, I just can't bet against them. I think they can upset everybody and actually go back to the finals again. I think with a healthy enough squad that they can do it. I mean, until somebody beats them, I can't bet against the Warriors not going to the finals. Now, out of the Eastern Conference, I think it's a lot easier. I'm going with Boston. I think there'll be a rematch of the finals again this year.
Sid?
I think for a potential upset in the Western Conference, I think it would be Sacramento over Golden State. We know Steph Curry's been in and out of the lineup this year due to various injuries. Draymond Green, he barely reached the finish line last year. If you watched that series closely against Boston in the finals last year, how much does he have left? And will that incident in preseason between him and Jordan Poole, how much that will be a factor, even though it happened many moons ago? And that's going to be a factor as well. For Sacramento, Domantas Sabonis, he's a beast inside. De'Aaron Fox finally made the All-Star team this year. When he goes, so does the Sacramento Kings. Don't forget about Malik Monk, a potential Sixth Man of the Year candidate. And also, too, Harrison Barnes, he's been there before, so he's going to face off against his former team. I think that series is going to go 7. I am going to pick the Warriors, but I would not be surprised if the Kings upset them. I know the Coaches Association gave Mike Brown the Head Coach of the Year award. He should be the Head Coach of the Year overall.
Going to be interested to see what happens with that as we are wrapping up. The last couple of minutes here with our illustrious panel, War Media and the Bigs is Josh Hicks, and the Fundamentals co-host on WVO, and Titus T. W. Williams, and Arturo DJ Turbine Garza. So what else is left to ask, Sid, other than, the last NBA Finals question? Do you have anything else before we kind of get to the finals predictions?
Yeah, I was going to ask the guys, who do you expect to stand out in the playoffs? So who's going to be that unsung hero, and which teams could make a run to the finals if your prediction, your original prediction, didn't pan out to at least get to the finals or win the title? I'll start with you, DJ Turnby. Will we see any surprising performances? And will Michael Jordan's record of 63 points be broken? It was almost broken a couple years ago in the bubble. Will we see that this year? I will safely say no.
If anybody has a chance to break that record, it's Donovan Mitchell if he doesn't get called for lane violation. But I'm not getting over that. Anyways, to answer the question, if there's anybody I could say that could be an unsung hero, at least early on that I could see, is Domantas Sabonis for the Kings, because he's actually primed in a scenario right now in that matchup with the Warriors to be the hero. Because if the Kings want to advance and beat the Warriors, they really do have to play it through Sabonis. He's going to have to be that big guy. The Bulls pulled it off a couple during this season. If you remember, Vucevic had a great game against them. That's the kind of effort that I would have to see Sabonis have to do that night in and night out against the Warriors. But we'll see. But that's someone I could see that actually becoming the unsung hero of the early rounds.
Josh?
On the early rounds, I'm going to go with Jamal Murray. Denver can only go so far if Jamal Murray helps carry the torch. We already know what Jokic is going to do, and you can very much argue that Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon are the other X factors to this Denver Nuggets team. But Jamal Murray's a sidekick. He's the number 2 on this team.
Right. And
with him being that number 2, remember, it's been at least 3 years, close to 3 years since he at least has been in the playoffs due to that knee injury that kept him out for majority of last season. So this is his first chance of really getting back into playoff mode and seeing what playoff mode is like. If Denver wants to go far and win a championship and save the movement that Big Dave is going to run if Jokic wins his third MVP and he doesn't get to the finals, Jamal Murray is going to have to be the guy to help carry that torch. And we saw what he did in the bubble. he is capable of taking the team to the next level. But they're only going to go as far as he goes. So if Denver has any chance, yes, you got the Joker, but hey, even the Joker needs a sidekick. Jamal Murray's that sidekick. So to me, it's going to be Jamal Murray. I want to see what he does.
Titus?
I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey. I think that Philly has a great chance to actually make some noise this year, that they're healthy. Joel Embiid is playing well, but I think they need an extra person besides James Harden and Joel, and I think Tyrese Maxey is going to show up and show out in the first round for sure.
I think for me, it's going to be DeAndre Ayton. I think if he's going to be the key for the Suns to beat the Clippers, he needs to be kind of like that force on the inside and the interior. We saw him do that the last couple of games in the Suns. That's how they could end up getting that 5 seed. So I think they could definitely sort of, he's definitely going to be the X factor, especially if the Suns want to go far into the Western Conference playoffs on that side.
I've been banging his drum, Lakino, about DeAndre Ayton and his motivation all year. So this is a perfect time for him to show up. I'll stay on the same team, the Phoenix Suns, and this is definitely his last chance. He's been injured more so than the last couple of years he's been on the Suns, and that's Chris Paul. He realized this is his last go around of trying to get that ring. And we know that he's motivated, but how healthy can he be? How much can he help this Suns team, especially with the Durant on his other side now? Don't forget Devin Booker. Around this time last year, he got hurt in that first round series against the New Orleans Pelicans. I think that played a factor in them losing to Dallas Mavericks as well in the next round. So I'm looking at Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Should be a lot of fun here. And then, okay, guys, the last question. Okay, so who's, you guys think have represented the NBA Finals on the East and the West? Who you think wins it all, and who you think is going to be the MVP? Arturo, I'll start with you.
You're not giving me a second to think.
Look. I mean, look.
You're good. No, I'll work on the fly. We're good. No worries. Going off my picks, Phoenix and Kevin Durant.
Who you have a base in the finals?
On the other side, I'm going to go with Boston.
Okay. 1976.
Yeah, no rematch. Yeah, but like I said, between those guys, I feel like we said, CP's on the mission. It's our last opportunity. That's like they're not my team. It's their last opportunity. Paul's last opportunity, in my opinion. It's the best opportunity he's going to have. So I think it's all lined up for him. I don't see why not. But I do believe Kevin Durant is going to be the reason why.
All right, Josh.
2021 rematch. Phoenix and Milwaukee.
Ooh.
I do think Giannis is going to get back there, and I think Kevin Durant is going to help lead the charge to get Phoenix to the playoffs. As much, and I do mean as much, as I want Kevin Durant to win, I do think the Bucks will take it again, and Giannis is your MVP.
Okay. Titus? Unmute yourself, Titus. Or is he frozen again? Is he frozen again?
I think he might be frozen.
Frozen again? Okay. Oh, darn. We were doing so well, too, with that. Sid, go ahead and your Titus? Oh, I think he's... Yeah, go ahead, Sid. I think his Wi-Fi.
Okay, yeah. For the East, I'm actually going with Josh. I'll just make it short and sweet. I'll go with Milwaukee. I think Chris Middleton's knee will be healthy enough to help Giannis because he was the second best player on the team when they won the title a couple of years ago. And out of the West, I'm going with Phoenix. I think Kevin Durant is on the mission, and he's going to prove those haters wrong on the Twitter as he goes back and forth with them and all the critics. And so he's going to put on a 2017 type performance and help carry this Suns team to an NBA title. And I think Devin Booker is going to benefit from that as well. Something that he didn't benefit from a couple years ago when they lost to Milwaukee after blowing a 2-0 series lead. So I have Phoenix taking the title over Milwaukee in the rematch. Titus.
All right, Titus.
So close.
Almost. Well, I'll go ahead and do mine. I'm gonna pick Phoenix. With the consensus here. I'm gonna out the West, and I might hate myself. I might regret this, but I will pick Philly too. I think those two teams really kind of mash up well together, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick Phoenix. To win it all. I think they're due, and I think that Katie won the MVP, and I feel like they're kind of like right there, sort of like they've been close so many times in the last few years and such. So I'm kind of like right there. I'm picking Phoenix of Philly, and I pick Phoenix as the winner, and Katie is your Finals MVP.
Yeah, our guy Lamont Scott checks in via Facebook. He says he agrees that Boston and the Suns in the NBA Finals this year. Titus, are you back with us? You can give us your pick. See, we having a little audio issues with Titus there.
Titus, can you give us your pick? I know he's been frozen, so
Okay.
I think is he there? No.
Yeah, as Titus gets his, is he there? Okay.
Titus, you there?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's not there. So as Titus gets his audio together, we'll remind you that the NBA playoffs start this Saturday on ESPN with Brooklyn in Philadelphia at high noon. And the other games are as follows: on ABC at 7:30 on Saturday night, we'll have Game 1 between Golden State and Sacramento. On 2:30 tomorrow on ESPN, we'll have Hawks Celtics Game 1, followed by Knicks and Cavs Game 1 at 5 o'clock. And then, of course, on Sunday, the lone game on ABC, the Lakers and Grizzlies in Game 1, followed by a triple header on TNT for Sunday. It'll be Miami or Chicago at Milwaukee for Game 1 at 4:30, followed by Clippers Suns Game 1 at 7 o'clock, and followed by OKC or Minnesota at Denver for Game 1. That's at 9:30 p.m. on Sunday night. So there's a schedule for this weekend as the NBA playoffs 2023 will take place.
All right, we're gonna try this one more time. Titus, are you there? I know he's been going in and out.
Please, oh my God, Arturo, please.
I'm crossing them.
Yeah, I know. You made the text. Yeah, but you made the text him you made the text. You made the text your picks at Arturo.
Yeah.
But look, but guys, it's been so much fun as always. Thank you so much for joining us today. Where people can find you, your work, and all that other good stuff. Josh, I'll start with you and all the great work you guys do.
You can follow it all on the Instagram and the Twitter at Josh M. Hicks Media. And of course, warrenmedia.substack.com, Warren Anchor, as well as itsthebigs.us. We got a lot of stuff coming up for you guys.
Great content with Eugene and Terrence and Josh and Herb Howard. And I know they got a lot of stuff coming up with the NFL draft coming up next week. So Arturo, where people can follow you?
You can follow me at Arturo Garza04 on the Twitter, and on Facebook, you can get us at the Fundamentals Facebook page, and tune in every Friday night, 9 o'clock to midnight, WVON 1690 AM. We're also on iHeart, and join us. We have a fun time every Friday night.
Or do you have Titus's socials and stuff that we can spread to the folks out here?
Unfortunately, not his personal, but the Facebook one is the same one. We all do the fundamentals together. So look for us on the Fundamentals Facebook page.
All right, nice. And also too, I know he's on Twitter too. You can follow him as well as I get that going here for you guys. Now, again, thank you, gentlemen, for so much. Enjoy the NBA playoffs and whatnot, and we'll do this again real soon. You guys stay safe and I'm gonna say enjoy the hoops.
Yeah, for real. Thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you, guys.
All right, you guys stay safe.
Playoff mode.
Playoff mode. Yeah. That's new. Right. Yeah, that's a new thing. Yeah, playoff mode. That's their new mantra here. You can follow Titus at CNT Productions on Instagram. All the work there. He does a lot of spreading out about the fundamentals and whatnot. So of course, you catch his great work there. Also, too, all the great work for you guys. So. Love you, gentlemen, and we'll do this again real soon.
Thank you again.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, enjoy the hoops. All right, you guys too. Enjoy the hoops.
Thank you.
All right, so another great panel as always. Had a few issues with the Wi-Fi, but we were able to pull through it. So with that said, on that note, you can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
You can follow your Shirley Sydney Brown on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Make sure you subscribe to Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast at Ward Media Podcast. That's WARR Media PODCASTS. And we are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give World Media a follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support. And thank you guys who have been checking in on Facebook and on the YouTube. We see all the number of viewers that you are checking in with us during this past hour. Thank you guys very much. Spread this podcast, spread this show, spread this episode as we get ready for the NBA playoffs. We really appreciate your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends, folks.
Yes.
Please tell your friends about the show. Also, too, of course, now we've got you guys. You can catch us out anytime you want on Roku TV. So, celebrate with the squad, get with the program, whatever smart device you got, whether it's your PC, your smart TV, Chromebook, whatever, phone, whatever you guys got, just type in Sports Zone Chicago right there where you get your apps. On Roku, it's right on the Roku app. It's all right there for you. You can catch our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, What's Up Cuz, and I know we got a couple other special shows too that are on there. So anytime, anywhere, all the stuff right there. You can catch Sports on Chicago on Roku TV.
Yes, and don't forget you can catch Second City Sports live and in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Catch Second City Sports live and in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, exclusively right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
All right, enjoy the NBA playoffs, everybody. Of course, you got the NHL, they're finishing up their season as well. Also, too, you got some golf and soccer and stuff. So, a lot in baseball, too, of course. A lot of sports going on this time of year. This year, you got to love it. So, for Sid, I'm McKinney. Enjoy the gorgeous weather we got, coming up the next couple of days. And stay safe, folks, and wash your hands and all the other good stuff. So, this is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you Monday.
And DJ Turbine, playoff mode till Monday. Holla!